Hi everyone, this is the third of 3 videos where we've looked at love and compassion in sport and how actually doing both of those things better can help you to perform better, even though on the surface they don't seem related at all. In the first video we looked at how love for your sport, love for your teammates, love for your opponents and love for yourself can help you to perform better. And then in the second video we took that idea of loving yourself and specifically self-compassion and looked at some of the misunderstandings around that notion, specifically that self-compassion is potentially soft, that athletes don't need it, that it's self-indulgent, and chiefly that it undermines motivation and your ability to work hard. Kind of dispelled some of those myths and realizing that a lot of the top performers actually have the highest levels of self-compassion. So then in this third video, the final part, if you like, is to say, well, okay, so if love for your sport in lots of ways is good, and if self-compassion is good, then how do we increase our capacity for self-compassion? Well, there's probably 4 main things. The first one is to be aware of your inner dialogue, particularly during times of difficulty. So you can imagine going to an event where you want to compete in a certain way and in some way it doesn't go the way that you planned. What we tend to be really good at is being negative about ourselves and our own performance in a way that we wouldn't be to a best friend or a loved one. If it were a best friend or a loved one who had the bad performance, we'd put our arm around them and tell them that it was alright and try and build them back up again. Find all of the positives. But we don't do that for ourselves, which kind of doesn't make sense. And it's really important to be aware of that unhelpful, negative, internal dialogue so that we can change that and treat ourselves with the compassion that we would treat the people that we love if they were in that same situation. The second thing that we can do is to become better at a stoical response, and I'm going to cover this in some future videos, but it's about being aware of what's actually going on in reality. So the renowned speaker and author Brené Brown talks about being aware of the story that we make up, and we interact with the world through a story that generally we make up that's not based on the reality of what's going on. And when you realize that, you realize how much you do it all of the time. We all do. The issue is that sometimes our emotional response is based on not the facts and the reality of our performance or how the event went or how our training session went or how we're currently performing in our sport. It's based on a story that we've made up. And if we can be aware of that, then we can sometimes redirect our focus towards what the actual truth is. So being stoic, what is really going on in this situation is a really kind of key aspect of self-compassion, because then we're basing our emotional response on the truth and not on some, as I say, story that we've made up. The third thing would be to be good at practicing mindfulness. And I don't know what image you have of mindfulness. I know what I had, and the image that I had of it was not what the reality is. The reality is really far more being able to move your thoughts away from unhelpful thoughts and move them to a more solid, more focused, more positive, more sustaining anchor. Now, for a lot of people, that is just taking the time to focus on their breath. But while you exercise or while you train, it might be some aspect of your movement. It might even be for you a belief or a faith that focuses you on that higher power or God that can give you more of a context about your life and your worth and your value and the context of a sporting performance that might not be going as you want it to at the moment. Either way, that idea of mindfulness, just being able to move your focus from negative to more positive stories in your mind is a really important practice to get good at. So that's something, again, to refine. More mindful people generally have higher levels of self-compassion. Lastly is probably just to have mindfulness kind of cues and triggers. So words, power words, phrases and things that can kind of bring you back to to the stuff that really matters, and those things are going to be incredibly individual for you. So just things that take you away from that negative dialogue, things that remind you of what's really important and what's really going on. And that might be something simple as saying, I'm big, I'm strong. It might be something that's more focused on family and the things that really matters. So it might just be reciting the names of your kids or someone else who's incredibly important to you. Now, this is a massive subject, and I'm just covering the basics here to kind of show that, I guess, just help us to get into some of the things that we can do to be more self-compassionate. You can take this a lot further. So the first thing I'd urge you to do is to read the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook. That's by Kirsten Neff and Christopher Germer. I should have written that down, but I think I've remembered it right. So it's quite cheap, you can buy that online. There is also a website that accompanies that. So if you go to selfcompassion.org, there's loads more resources there that can help you be more self-compassionate. And as we know, tracking back through the last couple of videos, self-compassion, being more self-compassionate, showing a little bit more love to yourself, can help you perform better. So if you want free speed, if you want to perform better, this is not a bad place to start. It might also help you to be an even better human, which wouldn't be a bad thing either. Potentially, who knows? I might be judging. Anyway, join us again for another video very soon. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please like and subscribe because it helps other people find this content, which might be of value to them. So help out, hit like, hit subscribe, and hope to see you again here soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.